mentioned that you support the Occupy Wall Street protesters.
I'm not deterred in my support for them.
It's not enough to be the 99%. We've got to smash the 1% and their fascist cops who protect them and their police state.
I believe that movement is unstoppable regardless of what mayors may do.
It's true that we don't know exactly what we're doing, but we're here to figure it out.
A nonviolent mass movement of people who are upset at what Wall Street and the banks have done to their lives.
In a few days, you're going to see what a Molotov cocktail can do to Macy's.
And God bless them for their spontaneity. It's young, it's spontaneous, it's focused, and it's going to be effective.
Freedom is back in style. Welcome to the revolution.
'Cause we'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way.
This is the Sean Hannity Show.
All right, thanks, Scott Shannon. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. Toll free. It's 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of the program. Now, yesterday we pointed out the issue of the First Lady and Joe Biden going to NASCAR and getting booed. Here's part of what happened.
And now, please welcome our Grand Marshals, Sergeant Andrew Berry and family, First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama, and Dr. Jill Biden, as they deliver the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
All right, there it was at NASCAR this weekend. And so the bigger question now has come up, well, why are they getting booed? Anyway, Dr. Marc Lamont Hill is with us, and Jesse Lee Peterson, the Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson, is back with us. Guys, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, why do you think, Jesse, that the First Lady's getting booed?
Because the people are fed up with the Obamas. They are fed up with Barack and Michelle. Michelle said that America is a downright mean country. Michelle's running around trying to force families to feed their children by law, whatever she wants them to have, while vacationing and pigging out, and just trying to dictate what the American people can do. Obama said that small-town people are bitter and clinging to their guns and religion, and they haven't forgotten that. And in the South, people, they love the country. They love what's right. They love to race their cars. They love their Bibles, and so they don't like the attack that has come from this administration.
Well, I think more recently, the president suggesting the American people have gotten lazy and soft on another occasion. Dr. Hill, your reaction?
Well, I think this speaks to, where the president's base is and where the president's strengths are, and obviously NASCAR country isn't one of them. I think that, this is not his voting bloc. These are people who don't agree with his economic policies.
What do you mean NASCAR country? What do you mean by that?
I'm saying the people in that space who are booing. That's what we call NASCAR country. Is the place where people go to see races, right? We call it NASCAR country. At least that's what NASCAR calls it. So I'm just using the language that NASCAR uses. And when you go to NASCAR country, they just like any other place.
Well, think about what Jesse said here, Dr. Hill. I mean, are they talking about? I mean, remember when I think it was a pretty revealing moment what Jesse was referring to when the president was running, and he referred to people in Pennsylvania, that were bitter and had antipathy towards those that were not like them, that bitterly cling to their guns and Bibles and religion. What did that say about? Well, what does that say about Obama's real thinking, or that America's a downright mean country?
I can't speak to what's going on in his head. What I can say is that one, as from a political perspective, it wasn't a very smart thing to say. And it's something that he says, and I quote, "It was a boneheaded thing to say."
Well, he said what was in his heart. He also said the people in small towns are anti-immigrant, and Obama spoke what's in his heart, and the people recognize that. And now,
I think that,
and now they have responded to him by showing their disagreement and dislike for what he and Michelle have said. I think that Obama now, Sean, is trying to make up for it. He's supposed to be having a country and western day at the White House, because I think from this booing, he's realized that he's not going to get those people to vote for him next year. And Obama is desperate to get back, so now he's trying to deceive them by having this country and western day at the White House. It's not going to work, but that's what it's all about.
Well, here's one of the things to think about, though, guys, is that those comments about guns and Bibles were made in 2008, and he still got Pennsylvania to vote for him. He still got Ohio to vote for him. So I don't think that those comments will be the deciding factor. If anything dissuades voters from voting for President Obama in those states, it's going to be the economy. It's going to be their stance on economic policy. It's not going to be a
I agree, Dr. Hill. I think
he
got the benefit of the doubt. But the problem is look, he's now blaming everybody for the first 2 years of his administration. He had this House, he had the Senate. He got his budgets passed. He got his health care bill. They rammed it down America's throat. They changed the rules. They did the moral equivalent of bribing senators to get their votes. Well, that's what they did. I mean, they gave all that money to Mary Landrieu. Remember, Scott Brown was to be the 41st vote against health care, so they went to the reconciliation process. So they did all these things. They got everything on his agenda item was passed. And now he's blaming kiosks, ATMs, George Bush, Fox News, Karl Rove, talk radio, tsunamis, earthquakes. And when all else fails, now he seems to be lashing out at the American people, and his poll numbers continue to fall. I don't think he's going to get the benefit of the doubt.
I don't think
there's nothing to disagree with. What I told you is a fact. He's blamed all of those things.
Can I disagree with your interpretation of the facts? Or is there no room for that?
Fact is it's sort of contradictory, isn't it? My interpretation of fact. If it's a fact, it's a fact.
Right, and what I'm saying is what you're claiming to be a fact, I disagree that it is a fact, that we are in fact disagreeing on what we call facts, and so I'd like to respond to the things that you call facts that I think are not facts.
What thing did I say was not true? Did he blame ATM machines and kiosks or no?
I'd be happy to tell you. Okay, first, I don't think the president is lashing, I don't think the fact that the president is lashing out at the American people. I think what the president has done, and I think he's actually right on this part of it, is that he said that the American people have a responsibility, the voters have a responsibility too, that citizens have a responsibility too, and then Congress also has a responsibility, and the president has a responsibility. I think the president will be the first to acknowledge that his administration hasn't done everything that it can do, and certainly Democrats.
No, they haven't taken blame for anything. When has he ever said that his policies have failed? When has he ever said that?
I didn't say that though. I didn't say the policy failed. This is what I mean. What you say just happened, I disagree with.
But to add to that, Lamont, not only has he done the things. There's a shared sacrifice, and that everyone has work to do in this. And I don't think the president is lashing out at the American people. I don't think the president is bitter toward the American people, or that he has any animus toward the American people. I think, though, that the president might not be on the same page with everyday America on certain issues, and I think that's a legitimate problem that he needs. Lamont, not only has he done what Sean said, he's now promoting class warfare, and as a result, we've ended up with Occupy Wall Street. Obama has deliberately gone out and done this because he wants to divide and conquer. He's also supported.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Are you saying that it's unclear? Are you saying that President Obama organized Occupy Wall Street?
He started the whole thing, this class warfare, by saying that he's going to attack the rich and that the rich are responsible for this failed economy. He's blamed them for that, and so he's now supported. He's now supported by the union and his little rich friends. And you have a bunch of lazy thugs out there destroying businesses, hurting, destroying properties, and carrying on. And they don't know why they're there. They don't realize that they've been brainwashed by this president and the administration, that they're being used. Let me just say this, and then I'll let you speak. If the occupiers knew what they were doing, they would be protesting the government, the White House, because it was Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac that helped to cause the economy to collapse in the manner that it did. But yet you don't see them protesting Obama. They're protesting the base. They're protesting the wrong people.
Well, a couple of things. You said a lot of points. I just want to make sure I cover all of them. One is that the president doesn't suddenly have the unions. Let me actually start with the attack thing. The president never said. You stated as a fact that the president said that he was going to attack the rich. I will come on this show and apologize, and I'll even sing a medley for you if you can show me any quote, any clip with the president.
Obama was the first to come up with this idea of a class warfare.
You asked me to let you finish, and allow me to finish. I would like you, maybe the next time we come on or on your website or whatever, that you could show me where the president said he was going to attack the rich. That's simply not true.
He's going to tax, not attack.
Oh, then I misheard you. That's why it's important for us to hear each other. So if you're saying he's going to tap the rich, I think what the president said, I disagree with that as well. What the president actually said is that he wants the wealthy to pay their fair share. And I think that we may disagree on what fairness is.
And you don't think that they're already doing that?
I'd just like to finish the point, and then I promise you, I'll let you respond. I think that we may disagree on what fairness is, but I don't think asking people to carry a certain amount of load is unreasonable. I think the second point that you made was about unions, that the president suddenly, because of his attack or tap on the rich, rather, he suddenly has unions. The president has had union support for the last 4 years. And lastly, you said that the Occupy movement has not addressed President Obama or the White House, and that's simply not true. As someone who has been at Occupy rallies and has spent a great deal of time at Occupy rallies, as well as the Tea Party rallies,
you don't hear any complaints. You don't hear any complaints. Let me finish. I'll let you go on. Hold on. You don't hear. Hey,
all right, guys, one at a time. Come on.
Yeah, you don't hear any complaints from Occupy Wall Street about Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, do you?
I'm trying to answer that. That's what I was trying to say. The occupiers have said that. The occupiers have also said
well, why are they protesting the government? Tell them to leave the banks alone, because it was the Congressional Black Caucus and the liberals who forced the banks to give loans to blacks and Hispanics who could not afford them. They called the banks racist. They accused them of treated blacks and Hispanics in the wrong manner. And so the banks caved in, and now they've done this. They're coming back and blaming the banks again. Why don't they go after the government?
Well, one of the things that, as I've been trying to say for the last minute, one of the things that the occupiers have talked about is the president's and Washington in general's failure to properly police banks, to properly
No, that's not what they're saying. They hate capitalism.
Like the critique of the president, but the occupiers at every rally I've ever been to, at every organizing session I've ever heard about, they have talked about President Obama's failure to do right by everyday people.
Well, Lamont, you need to bring them all together and teach them what to say, because when we go out there and talk to them, and Fox News and others go out and talk to them, they don't know why they're there. They're using drugs, they're having sex, they're raping, they're destroying businesses, they're urinating, on the streets. They're complaining about the people who work hard in this country. They're preventing people from going to work. So maybe you need to tell them how to present themselves, because we're not seeing that.
Okay, when they're not smoking doobies and having wild sex at these hippie rallies, I'll be sure to send the word to them.
Well, let me ask you this: when you look at the president's, do you think this president's been successful, Dr. Hill? Do you think he's done a good job? Do you think that after he got everything that he wanted passed, and he promised that he'd cut the deficit in half, and he's got $4 trillion in new debt, and he said unemployment would go below 8%, and so on and so forth, one promise after another, he's got his entire agenda that he's got passed. And then he goes out he goes out.
Asking me, I don't accept the premise of the question, but if you're asking me,
what part of it? He did. His administration said that unemployment wouldn't go above 8%.
That's not the part I disagree with, Sean. Let me tell you what I disagree with, so we don't filibuster. What I disagree with is I think the president has gotten everything he's wanted to pass. That's something.
All right. What part do you disagree? What did he want passed in the first two? Excuse me. Wait a minute. Let me finish. What did he get? What did he not get passed in the first 2 years that he wanted passed?
Well, you just said. First of all, you didn't just say that. But
no, he had. Dr. Hill, you got to pay attention to my. I said for the first 2 years he had both houses of Congress. What did he not get passed?
Let me not tell you. Let me tell you rather. If you look, for example, at the health care negotiation, he got health care through, but certainly not the bill that he wanted. Certainly, when you look at the kind of concessions he made around public options, when you look at the kind of
if he didn't get what he wanted, what did he want? If that wasn't what he wanted.
I just told you you were reading the script, but what I just said was that he didn't.
So he wanted it to be even more socialistic. All right, I got it. So it wasn't quite as socialistic as he wanted.
Either you said that, but to answer your actual question, do I think the president's been successful? I think the president has had a very ambitious 3 years. When I say he's been successful, if I would give him a grade, I'd give him a C+.
C+. Well, I'm glad. I wish I would take your courses, because I give him an F across the board, because I think he's failed in every place. And I got to tell you something. The thing that is most distasteful, Jesse will give you the last word.
Yes.
He never takes blame, never takes responsibility. It's always somebody else's fault. It's a kiosk's fault. It's an ATM. It's the Arab Spring's fault. Jesse, hang on, Jesse.
We see it happening right now with this so-called super group they put together. And the Republicans said no to that, because the Republicans refused to increase taxes. And now Obama is going around blaming the Republicans for that. And he knew from the beginning that the Republicans would not raise taxes on the people, especially now, but he wanted someone to blame, and that's why he's doing it. He has never, ever taken responsibility
He's never gonna either.
for what he has done.
All right, we got to
and
go.
Lamont and others knows that.
All right, Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson from the group Bond and Dr. Marc Lamont Hill. It's a pleasure to have both of you on, and I wish both of you a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks.
Happy
You
Thanksgiving.
too, Sean. Happy Thanksgiving.